Martin Luther King once said that those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. I think that this remark is very timely in relation to the Assembly, because the Assembly is that space in which it will be possible for all of us, together with sisters and brothers from different continents, to organize ourselves around our dreams for peace. It will be this opportunity of mutual encounter, mutual experiences of vulnerability, mutual encouragement, mutual support. And I hope that we'll be able to make the most of that, so that those who love peace will be better organized, perhaps, than those who love war. And if we move our reflection in that direction, I would like, first of all, to invite you to an intergenerational assembly. We'll have at least 11–12% of youth delegates. We'll have 160 stewards, which is an entry door into ecumenical engagement, as it is the case of many of us, myself included. We'll have more than 100 students of the Global Institute of Theology. We'll have more than 30 students from the Boston Ecumenical Institute. We'll have a couple of hundred participants, to the limits of what space allows us in the youth ecumenical gathering. We have the potential of encountering young people and help their voice, or allow their voice, encourage their voices to be heard throughout the assembly. And this is indeed an important step in the direction of organizing those who are committed to peace. And this is my first point, this intergenerational dimension of the assembly. Another, and this is my second note, invitation to all of us. And this has been made quite clear throughout our sharing during these days. Sometimes our sharing is difficult. We get excited, but it is our common calling. Another element in my perception, and I think that the assembly goes in that direction, is the calling to non-conformism, which is inseparable from hope. It's the calling to an assembly that is clearly countercultural in the circumstances of today. When we think about military solutions to problems, climate emergency, systemic economic injustice, the ambivalent consequences of the digital revolution, the decline of democracy, and the growth of racism. Because of all those things, and because of the theme of the assembly, we are called to a search for unity that make us countercultural in relation to those forces that deny life and dignity in our world. And once again, our non-conformism could be better organized as we meet in Karlsrühe late in August and early in September. That was my second note. My third note, and last, is an invitation to all of you to engage in the preparation in a different way. And this has to do with our local experiences as churches. I would like to ask you to prepare yourselves for the assembly by using the biblical texts that we call anchor texts selected for each day. And put those texts in dialogue with the assembly theme text that we shared with you in the chat yesterday. And that, if possible, you explore those biblical texts with local communities, local groups, to the extent that this is possible for you. I think that this would indeed be one of the most important ways of preparing the assembly, because then our local congregations, local groups, people who are not delegates, stewards, staff, or any of us, would be involved with the biblical theological reflection about Christ's love and our faith, that this love moves the world to reconciliation and unity. The texts, as it has been mentioned earlier, are texts about Jesus of Nazareth. In other words, these are texts that start from stories of Jesus' compassion. And this word takes each day as we move to the assembly a new sense of urgency. And once again, this word, this category, is not a monopoly of Christianity. When we speak of compassion, we are speaking of the spirituality of other spiritual traditions, and therefore it's a category that opens to people of goodwill to join us in pointing to hope, creating hope, and nurturing hope. So this intergenerational dimension, the call to non-conformism in relation to the mega trends that will be shaping our lives in the coming years, and the call to live with our communities, the biblical experience of preparing ourselves for the assembly, are three elements that I find very important to invite you to as we move towards that important event. Thank you very much.